What's up, TechLifeForum? It's Kobe. I'm gonna go over how to make a basic MyBB plugin. It's gonna be pretty basic, but hopefully it gets people started in the right direction, and hopefully get some more plugins around here. What we're gonna do is just gonna make a link next to members referred here that says details. It's pretty simple, so it shouldn't be too hard to follow. When you click details, it's going to show who that member has referred and the date they referred them. So usually what I like to do when I get started with a new plugin, I like to create a template or a shell of from one of my old ones. But if you don't have an old one, or you don't feel like downloading one, you can use this hello.php that comes with MyBB in the plugins folder, and kind of look at the example it has in there. It's actually pretty well commented. It tells you kind of what everything does. So for a beginner, it's actually not a bad thing to go in there and maybe check it out. The first thing you want to do is you want to create a file name for your plugin. It's actually pretty important. It needs to be unique to your plugin. No two plugins can have the same name. No two plugins can actually have the same function name, so it's actually really important that you don't just name your functions anything. It's pretty good practice to name all your functions the name of your file underscore whatever you want the function to be. Not everybody follows that, but it's pretty good practice. Anyways, to get started here, three main functions for this plugin are going to be info, activate, and deactivate. Info is required in every single plugin. It's how MyBB reads your plugin and knows what it is. But it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't really need to go into that. The only thing I might need to touch on is the ID here. You actually get that if you want to submit it to MyBB. You get that from them. Once you register your plugin, they'll give you a GUID to stick in there. So I just have one from one of my old ones, so anything will work there. You can actually probably leave it blank, but we'll go past that. Activate and deactivate kind of differs depending on what you want to do with the plugin. Usually activate's going to have your settings and your templates and all that stuff in there. For this one, I did end up putting a setting in here to kind of show the functionality of it. I didn't need to, but I went ahead and did it for the sake of this video. When you're putting settings in for a plugin, they need to go into a setting group, and that's just to house your settings. So I created a little setting group here. I just named it the same name as the plugin. This is going to hold our one setting of enabling it. So after you create your setting group, and these are just the fields in the table, and when it does this insert query, it just goes and inserts them. This GID here grabs the ID of the setting group that you just inserted, and it's going to stick it in with these settings, so MyBB knows where to put the settings. And this setting group is what's going to show in the configuration table, and these settings are obviously going to be underneath that setting group. So hopefully it's not too confusing what I just said. If you have more than one setting, you could put these in a setting array, an array of these settings here, and then you could just loop through that settings list and do a for each, which if you need help, comment, I can explain that. And then you just do an insert query for each setting. It's not too hard, but I didn't show that example. And then the template here, what I like to do when creating a template is I like to just do the markup and then check out a small mock-up of the example. And for what I'm doing, I just wanted a little header, and then I wanted a table that has the list of usernames and the date they were referred. So nothing fancy. So that's what I started with. And to get this to show and look like your forum, there's a couple things we need to add, and that's going to be the header include, which is going to have all the JavaScript and CSS and all the fancy stuff that MyBB needs to make the page do what it does. You'll need the header, which is going to be the top of your forum, and then you'll need the footer, which is going to be the base of your forum, and then anything in between there is pretty much your content of your forum. And what I did here is I inserted a placeholder for username and a placeholder for referrals, and that's going to prove pretty important later, so you'll want to make sure that they're in this format with the curly brackets and then $sign. So here, this T border and this T head, I put those in so that they would match the theme of your of the MyBB forum. Obviously I'm just with the default forum, but it'll if you had a custom theme, then T border, T head, hopefully whoever made your theme stuck with the default names here, and it'll match your theme. So once you add all of this stuff in, you can either put it in here as this template, or if you still want to work on it some, you could put no template in here and go into your ACP, the admin control panel, and you could modify it and change it and all that stuff in there to make it look however you want. You will want to escape any single quotes, and the reason I use single quotes here is that's all you'll have to escape if you do that. If you use double quotes, you'll have to escape these $signs, and you'll have to escape any of these double quotes. So I use a single quote here, and then I just escape the single quotes from here because it's less work. And do that. You obviously can do a find replace for single quotes. I don't have any, so we won't do that. Alright, so once you get your template kind of figured out, you do an insert query for that, and it's kind of the same thing with the settings. These are all the field names in the table, and it inserts it right into the templates table. This line here, this line brings in this find replace template sets function. Allows us to go into an existing template and replace some whatever we want in there pretty much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into these template sets here, and what I'm looking for, if you look under, we'll do the member page first right here, and we're looking for members referred. So if we come in here and we go to member profile, alright, we're looking for members referred. Well, we're not going to be able to find it because it's not in there, and the reason it's not in there is because they have a placeholder for referrals here, so we have to dig a little bit deeper. Instead of member profile, we're going to go to member profile referrals, which shows up here, and we're going to go into we're going to go into that template, and we're going to replace the member profile member fucking shit. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into that template, and we're going to replace the member profile referrals curly braces right there, and all we're going to do is we're going to replace it with itself, and then we're going to append this details at the end of it, and we're going to set details as the details later, but we'll do that down here. So all we did was we went into this template, we replaced it with, we're going to replace it on activation, and it's going to end up saying details in there. So deactivate is going to be just deleting the stuff we just did. We insert a setting, we insert a setting group, and we insert a template. So then we need to go through and delete the settings, the setting group, and the template. I name all of my settings with an underscore, and then the setting name. That way, instead of having to go and delete each setting, I can just do this light query, and it does it all in once. Again, we're going to go ahead and put this require once statement in there just so we can go through, and this time we're just going to look for what we added, and replace it with nothing. So now that we got our basic structure set up, you can actually go in and actually save it and activate it. Mine's already in the correct directory, but the directory you would need is the ink plugins directory. Go in there, you'll see your plugins show up. Hopefully, if it has any errors, this will be the place that spits them out. So you go in, fix them, and then activate, and then hopefully we go through and it's activated. So hit refresh, and we'll see that details is not in there, except for it's not going to do anything. So now that's in there, what we're going to do is we're going to look at two things. One, the member profile start, which we just did. I guess we'll do that first. We'll come in here to referral plugin. Alright. And then that setting we made up here, we named referral plugin enabled. So we're going to call upon that setting using the MyBB class, and I'll go ahead and hit on that now. These globals, this templates, MyBB, and then details. Those are what we're doing here is we're setting these as global so we can access them. Those were created outside of this plugin, and so by adding those here, we're giving ourselves access to them. We're actually giving access to this referrals, because this referrals here actually sits where I first showed you in the member profile, and it's going out and it's grabbing this template, this member profile referrals. Well, it doesn't know anything about details. Member profile referrals does because it's in there, but referrals doesn't know anything about it. So that's why we had to global details, so it can replace it here to insert it there. If that doesn't make sense, I'll clear that stuff up on the forum. But pretty much all we're doing is we're creating a link, and where it puts details right there, we're creating a link that directs it to the miscellaneous.php. We're saying action equals referral, user ID equals the same user ID whose profile we're on. So this action equals referrals we're going to pick up on later in order to display it. User ID is what's going to tell us later what we're trying to display. So once that's set, what that's going to do for us is it's going to create the link. If you look down there, it's the miscellaneous.php, or I can even show it up here for you. So that's where we're going to be pointing. I'll go ahead and go to it. So then when we get here, it's obviously, you see the header, you see the footer, you see two referrals that I made, and everything looks good. Well, to make it work, there's a few things we need to do. First, we need to globalize all the variables we're going to need. Header include, header and footer, we need access to those because they're in our template, so we need to globalize those. If they're not up there, then our template doesn't run, and templates is what we're going to use that class to display the info. So the first thing we'll check is we'll check the MyBB class has a user property, I guess you call them in PHP, I'm not sure, and we'll get the user ID from it. If it's set, then this will result to true. If it's not set, then they're not logged in, it won't display anything. If they are logged in, it'll come down, and if it says if MyBB input action equals referrals and we input a user ID, then we can go further. If it's not referrals, then they're probably not wanting this plugin. If they don't have a user ID input, then we can't show them anything anyways, so they don't need this plugin. After we're sure that it is this plugin, then we check our setting here to see if the plugin has been enabled in the settings. If it hasn't, then it'll be a 0 and we'll return, which just exits the function. After it goes through all those checks, if we're still going to show it to them, then we'll want to grab the user, by doing a query to the database. We're going to query the users table. We're going to select the username field. We're going to say where the user ID is equal to the ID that we had them pass, and then we're going to fetch the results. And another good thing about this MyBB class is the input's already sanitized for you, so you don't have to worry about doing all that stuff. It's already sanitized. Once we get their user information, pretty much what that brings back is a row that has all the field names of that for that particular user, and we're just concerned with the username. I guess this only brought back the username, so it didn't bring back the whole row. So then we're going to go back in, query the database again. We're going to query the users table. We're going to bring back the username, user ID, and the registration date. I don't know why the hell I did that. But anyways, and then we're going to say where the referrer equals this user. So since I was user 1, it's going to bring back everybody that I referred. This is our placeholder in our template, and we're just going to append each row to it. So while we have rows, keep adding rows. You can see it starts here and ends here. T-row1 is a theme class, so that should change depending on the theme that's installed. It's not hard-coded. The link here is just going to point to their profile, so if they wanted to click on it. So that closes it. It's going to be the link around their username, close the tag, ends that row, the new or ends that column, the new column. It brings back the date according to their settings, or your board settings. So it'll bring back the date in two parts. It's going to bring back the date here, and then it's going to bring back the time on this part. And that's a Unix timestamp, so that's why there's two different, one for the date, one for the time. And then we're going to grab the referral plugin template that we created earlier, and we're going to output it to the page. And the page is a part of the miscellaneous.php, or technically it's a part of more than just that, but for our case it's going to be the miscellaneous.php, and we're going to output it. So after all that's said and done, you end up with this. That's pretty much all there is to it. I tried to go through it pretty fast. That's about all there is. If you guys have any questions, be sure to post them. And if this video was too long, then sucks for you. Sorry. Alright, peace out.